Hi, it's Taylor. I wanted to talk today about a topic that came up a lot this week. So, thanks for tuning into the channel. Uh, if you are on Twitter or if you're on my email list, great. If not, you can always subscribe to my newsletter. In the episode notes below, there's a link, or you can get my handle from the episode notes as well and add me on Twitter. But basically, we had a big discussion about how not to lose yourself when you're helping somebody else, especially if it's someone you're in a relationship with. So, one way to view that is looking at it as a codependent relationship. And it's really easy to get sucked into because obviously, there's a lot of love involved, but it's quite dangerous and toxic, really. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today in this video. Now, when you feel that connected to somebody, you become attached, maybe because you are a people pleaser yourself. Usually codependent people, they have an underdeveloped ego where they need to really be needed, that's how they find their value and purpose in the world. And so when they create this symbiotic relationship with someone who is basically using you to circumvent having to do the hard work themselves, so they can kind of just, take it easy and be a mess and be immature and impulsive and all those things that create that cycle of toxicity in a relationship. And you just get to, pick up all the pieces behind them. And really, there's no reciprocity in that, right? So it's a one-way relationship where you are putting in all the effort to do all the work and not getting anything in return except for this one secondary gain. Now, secondary gain is a clinical term that we use in my line of work because I'm a mental health professional, marriage and family therapist. And it basically means when something that would seem unhealthy and obviously not a good idea is perpetuated because there is some kind of secondary benefit to it. And in this case, it's that ego stroke again, right? So the person may be experiencing a lot of exhaustion, maybe experiencing a lot of degradation from that person. They may be belittling them and blaming them, attacking them, pointing fingers, and that's not very easy to manage. But the upside for these people is that they feel like this person can't live without them, that they've got to rescue this person because it makes them feel like a good person. And there's lots of different qualities in regards to a codependent person. So they probably will be people pleasers, and they will feel like they have an addiction to this neediness of other people on them. And so it can be a very compulsive cycle for the codependent person as well. They may not be able to really take care of their own vulnerabilities themselves. They're so afraid of being hurt that they attach to someone that's even more vulnerable than them, in a sense, right? So that's how it becomes that symbiotic or parasitic relationship that's extremely unhealthy. But see, what happens is when someone is in the thick of that and they've rationalized this really toxic relationship for so long, going back and just taking more of it, it's because they think they love the person. But the type of love that is really not the type of love that lasts a lifetime at all. It may be a passionate love, it may be that sort of euphoric love, the teenage type of love, but it's not going to be healthy love that you build a family with, right? So you can love people, but the relationship is not something that is good or healthy for you. So you have to really consider both elements. You want to consider the sexual attraction and that sort of polarity in the dynamic between the two of you. And you also want to consider if you have the psychological chemistry and how much you actually like the person, the values and the belief systems and the lifestyle characteristics. All of those things should be on par with each other. But also, you do want to have a very conducive relationship to healthy adult maturity, right? You don't want to have to caretake your partner. They shouldn't be another child for you to take care of. And if you pursue and prioritize that love feeling that you have, one, it will go away eventually, But two, you're basically choosing to force the relationship and then bring children into that home in a very unhealthy environment. So it's a very selfish perspective. And so when you are trying to take care of yourself, you have to create boundaries. And with this person that's very toxic, they're not going to take too kindly to you taking care of yourself, because they want that attention and they're going to project onto you that you're being selfish and inconsiderate to their needs, because they can't take care of their needs. They need you to take care of their needs. So you have to, one, if you haven't learned to, you need to make sure you can take care of your own needs and then implement that and prioritize that. And at first it may be difficult because you're getting guilt trips from your partner, but you have to stand up to them and create that boundary that's healthy so that you are a whole person first and foremost, right? I've talked about that before. So make sure that you are prioritizing you in the relationship. And if they don't respond to that, right, that's you helping them because you're modeling healthy behavior. So if you're modeling healthy behavior and they're not getting the hint, they're not stepping up and starting to do the same things for themselves, then you know that you're dealing with a child emotionally, basically. And so that should be enough information for you to maybe escalate and take the next step. Because it's absolutely possible to care for someone, like actually have caring feelings for someone, and not have to be in a relationship with them. So you can say goodbye and end the actual relationship and still be nice to them. You can still wish them well. You don't have to have a grudge. You know, I mean, some people can be friends. That's a personal choice, but it's not always healthy. It's better most of the time to just cut the cord, especially when it's been a toxic relationship. But if it's not a significant other in a romantic sense, it could be a family member that's like that. And if that's the case, then you can absolutely love somebody from afar and send them, you know, supportive notes, or just make sure that they don't sort of creep back into your life, and that they will step up and start to learn how to take better care of themselves. And then you can reinforce that and encourage that. And obviously sometimes, you know, there's things that happen where you have to take care of a loved one if they become ill. And it's not about demanding someone to be perfect at all. You do accept people for their flaws, but you should know generally what they are in the beginning. And that should be a choice that you make based on all of the other wonderful things that they bring to the table. Now, if there are things that later develop, then they're going to have enough of a beneficial impact in your life, and you're going to have some great foundation to work with, that it's not going to matter. Those are going to be trivial things. The big things are already taken care of, right? And so that's what that means, like for better, for worse. Accept people for their flaws. It should be petty things, not the big things. And we all have our imperfections. So absolutely, you have to accept people at their worst and love them for their best. But make sure that you do all of this groundwork in the beginning. Usually this toxicity is evident from, you know, the first year or two at least, right? It's not something that just emerges all of a sudden after 5 or 10 years. So put in the work in the beginning to make sure to bring these issues to the surface so that you can identify that. But you have to do the work for you, and that's what's really important, is to make sure that if you're codependent, if you're afraid of abandonment or commitment, or being, you know, if you're not able to find value and purpose outside of being needed by someone, then you need to do that for yourself. You need to go on your own discovery and find out what can you bring to this life that you have, because you've only got one, and how not to make it all about the person that you're spending, you know, your life with, basically. There has to be something else that is important to you, so that you can create a healthy space between the two of you, because you want to be intimate and you want to be connected, but you also want to be able to detach and have your own individual lives to some extent. And then when you come together, you're a team. So there's that overarching cohesiveness, but then at the same time, you have a healthy distance, a healthy space, so that there's something that you're both bringing to the table that keeps it interesting, basically, because a lifetime together is a very long time. So I know a lot of people had questions about this, but if I didn't cover anything, just go ahead and put a comment below in the episode notes and hit subscribe so that you get all the new videos, the notifications for the videos straight to your inbox. and like the video if you liked it. There's all this noise because it's like traffic time. But also, I just wanted to mention it's almost Christmas time, so I've been putting off my Christmas shopping, and I'm going away in a couple of weeks. But I have a couple of things that I might be buying for my family, and maybe you'd be interested too. One thing that I've been interested in buying are the 17th watches. So I'll put the link below. I don't know if any of you are in the market for these watches, but they're great watches. And if you go to the link, you can see all the pictures of the watches, and they've got lots of different types, but they've got some specials on, and you can get one for like $50 or $75, and that's a really good deal. So think about it and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, ciao.